live. Hi, everyone. Allison Stanfield here with Arts Biz Coach, working with live technology is always interesting. You are here for your artist statement makeover. I'm really happy that you made it here today. We almost didn't. Let me pull up, I got to pull up a couple of windows so that we can get started. And I need to ask my team for some help. Can I close out the Zoom windows on here? No, okay. She's the boss of me. All right, your artist statement makeovers. I love doing this live, and it makes me really nervous to do this kind of stuff live. We had about 200 people submit their artist statements for this Facebook Live. And I hope you will forgive me if I don't get to yours, because otherwise we'll be here for a few days going through all of them. But just to let you know, I selected them. What I did was I started at the beginning, first come, first serve, right? And I started at the beginning, and I looked for really juicy statements. And I had to weed out some that weren't actually statements, that were more like bios, or something else. And I weeded those out. And then I looked for a variety and found some that I think I could be very helpful with. And so that's why I have six, I have 9. It depends on how much time, how many I can get through, how many we have. So I hope that even if I didn't choose yours, I hope that you get something really good out of this, because some of the tips that I'm going to give you are like really easy to do with your own statement. And then I'm also going to tell you a little bit about class that I have starting April 12th, Magnetic You. In this artist statement makeover is just a little preview of the class. All right, let me make sure I imagine we're going to go about 40, 45 minutes. I think that's about all the time we should allot to this. But why is this important? Why should you hang out with me? And I believe, if you've been hanging out with me at all, that you know this, that your artist statement is the backbone for all of your marketing. The coming up with the words to write about and talk about your art will help you in so many situations. It will help you in conversation. It will help you in writing grants, getting text for your website, social media updates. Most importantly, if you want to present yourself at a really high level, you've got to be articulate about the work. So this artist statement, learning to the process, it's actually a process that doesn't happen right away, but going through the process of coming up with words for your statement is one of those things that's going to make you more magnetic than other artists. So if you're new, I am Allison Stanfield with Arts Biz Coach, and I've been helping artists gain recognition and build their businesses since 2002. Before that, I worked as a museum curator and an educator. It was a long time ago, but there's a big lesson that I learned in the museum, and that is this, that words can help connect people to art. I remember I remember standing in front of paintings and sculptures and photos for a long time with people because I had the language to talk with the art about them. And I know that they will never look at those works the same again. I know that they formed a connection to that. Words are powerful, and the right words can serve as your secret magnetic weapon. So this is what we're going to do today. We're going to focus, these are just a few of my rules. We're going to delete unnecessary words. We're going to find a better way to say something and then dig deeper than the surface. The most important thing that I do with an artist statement, I think, is to make sure that people read the statement and go back to the art, because an artist statement doesn't do you any good at all if people don't look at the work, right? If they're just reading, that doesn't help at all. So you want your statement to compel people to look at the art. Now, let me say this. Everything that was submitted, I mean, your artist statement is fine as it is. It's always easier for someone else, me, to edit it than it is for you, because you're just too close to the words. And it's also easier for you to edit and find changes that you want to make after some time has passed. It's really hard to do that on a first draft. So just know that this is a process, and that you're hopefully will learn a lot. You'll learn a lot by watching these, but also you'll learn a lot by being patient with your statement as you come up with words. I'm going to dive in, and then I'm going to come back to a couple of other points that I really want to make. So let me go ahead and share my screen. I put these on slides because there's a lot of words here, and I thought you might be able to better follow me if you were able to look at the words. So let me go ahead and great. Okay. So I have permission from everyone to use first names, not anything else. So that's what I'm doing, is just using first names. And let me just say that as I was looking at these statements, I also have to look at the work. I can't write about art without looking at the art. So if I couldn't find your art, I'm probably not going to share it here with people. So this is the statement from Linda, and I'm not going to read every word here. If you want to see the beginning of it, you can watch the replay of this and see how I changed it. But the next step that happened with this, whoops, excuse me, just 1 second, is, oops, sorry. Just a minute. I just need to figure out how to do this. Oh, just a minute. I'm going to have to do this. I don't like doing that, but yeah, sorry about that little navigator thing there. But what I did was I went through these statements, and this is a really good trick that you can do too. When you come up with language, go back through and look at the words that are powerful, and then words and phrases that might be problematic. So the words that I thought were really colorful and powerful are in green on the slides. The phrases that I thought were problematic, I put in red. Again, this is just my opinion. This is how I approach statements. If you're asked to submit a statement somewhere and they give you instructions, please follow their directions. But this is how I do it. So I thought, oh, there's some juicy words here. Those are in green. The problematic ones are mostly problematic because they're repeated, or they're just odd words. So balance was used a couple times in a couple sentences, and then traditional and tradition. So I wanted to kind of clean that up. And then I really want to take this whole area out. This visual excitement concerns me, that part, because I just don't think it is necessary, or it doesn't say what I think Linda wants to say. So I ended up with this. My urge to find pattern within the chaos of the natural world is satisfied by capturing the light bouncing off surfaces. By resolving this chaos into simple shapes and colors, I find peace. In this way, the work, the process, and the final image feels like a prayer. No matter how abstract, somewhere a narrative lurks. I love that sentence. A narrative lurks. While using digital tools, there is a respect for tradition through the selection of materials such as antique lithography paper. So I came upon this and I thought, oh, there's still more I want to know. So the first section, I think Linda begins with a camera, but if that's the case, I wanted to say that at the beginning. So light bouncing off surfaces with my camera, if that's the case. And then Linda, I want you to clarify, is it an urge to find pattern, or is it an urge to find structure or to make sense of the natural world? So it might just be semantics, but urge to find pattern doesn't seem to say exactly what you want it to say. Then the very last paragraph, I wanted you to, the paragraph that I took out totally, I want you to kind of rework that and say a little bit more about your process, and then going back and forth between tradition and technology, current contemporary tools. I said digital tools instead of digital technology because I don't know why. I thought it was a friendlier, more art-friendly term than technology. That's just me, either one. So Linda, I hope those pointers help. Now, Tira says, what drives the creation of my art is my need to explore and express my fascination with dimensions perceived and imagined. And you can read the rest of that, but I did the exact same thing with hers. Some of the things that I found problematic, and I want to review those with you, is my fascination with dimensions, perceived and imagined, and then visually lure the viewer. That's kind of redundant. So there's a viewer and you visually, I mean, one or the other. And then life's dimensions and invite viewers. And the reason you have viewers in there twice, and then sometimes I just try to leave viewer out and want it to be less obvious, more perceived that I am the viewer because I'm reading this. So I try to leave it out as best I can. So the words that I really wanted to home in on are the repurposed materials, music, and energized. So what I did was just kind of rework things. My art explores and expresses a fascination with dimensions perceived and imagined. Tara, I'm going to give you more questions than answers. So you have some more homework to do. I want you to talk more about dimensions, a fascination with dimensions. What does that mean? And what is an imagined dimension? Perceived, I assume, means obvious, because again, I looked at your work. It is obvious that there are three dimensions on top of the two-dimensional surface. But I kind of want you to explore that a little more, really dig in deep there. Repurposed materials evoke a sense of music, movement, space, and time. I kind of want to know about the repurposed materials because people have written whole dissertations on the newspapers that Picasso tore up to put in his collages, and if there was any hidden meaning. I don't think we know that for sure, but if there is, what's the meaning behind those materials? And then energized marks and shapes. When I think of energized, to me, it means that they're infused. The marks and shapes are infused with energy. So I think you might mean energetic, but you might not. So it depends on what your meaning is right there. Okay. So let me take a quick break and come back live to you. If you're just joining us, I'm Allison Stanfield with Arts Biz Coach, and you're here for your artist statement makeovers. I just went through a couple of them. I'm giving you a preview of a class that I have starting next week called Magnetic You. You can find out more about it at magneticyouartist.com. And I teach this class. I'm teaching this to you right now because I fully believe, this is based on my experience working in the museum, that words can help make connections for you, and that they're super important when you wish to have a certain level, when you wish to attain a certain level in your arts career. They're so important for you to come up with those words. We had a gallerist talk to our retreat last year in Santa Fe, and the first question that she got was, what do you look for in an artist? And the first thing, I could not have scripted this better. The first thing out of her mouth was, I expect them to be articulate about the work. I expect them to be able to talk about the work. So powerful, straight from a very successful gallerist's mouth. So that's why we're here, looking at artist statements. I've gone through 2 of them. A few mistakes that I've noticed in the artist statements that I've been reviewing. The first is the artist statement is not your bio. The artist statement is about the work. The bio is about you. Keep them separate. You can blend them together on an about page on your website. But for our purposes, the statement is you really digging into the work. In Magnetic You, there's an exercise that walks you through this process of looking at your own work. Other mistakes that I've come across is a lot of them are too long. And they're not, I don't think there should be necessarily a certain length, like it's not better for them to be longer or shorter, but they're unnecessarily long. So there's too much repetition, too many adjectives and flowery words, too many, like using the same adjectives over and over again, trying to describe the same thing. But the repetition, just kind of, I'm trying to get you to make an impact with your words. I'm trying to help you make an impact with your words. And then a third big mistake is too generic. Using words that could be applied to almost any artist. We want to really help you dig deep and unearth some of the words that could be used just for you. So we are on to our third artist statement. Let me go ahead and share my screen again. Okay. Third artist statement is Ruth. I'm going to grab a sip of water and let you all read that for a minute. Okay, so she starts out talking about the connection to the family farm, and then she talks about I'm going to stop saying she. I'm going to start saying you. So Ruth, you start out talking about your family farm, then you talk about the material, all fine and good, and then you kind of go into a resume. So what I want to do is I really want to focus on this top paragraph, because that to me is what distinguishes the work. It's your subject matter or the emotional purpose behind the subject matter. So I crossed off all of this stuff, and I have some questions for you too, Ruth, as you can guess. My paintings express my connection to the family farm. I really want you to explore this a little bit more. And you say in the next sentence, or the next sentence I use abstraction to convey my memories of home and place. So why is it that you use abstraction? What does abstraction afford you that representation doesn't? And then rich, vibrant color embellished by narrative, symbolic pencil and brush marks create a memorial to the property that was home to my family. So say more about that, about what is narrative, symbolic, pencil, and brush marks, or clarify that a little bit. But I think the real juice is this connection, this emotional connection to you've really focused on that there is a connection, but now I want to know what that is. I want to feel your heart and what's tugging you to this, because I'm not getting that. I'm only getting that you have memories there, but I don't know what kind of memories they are. I assume they're good, but maybe they're not. Then the fluidity of water media allows me to work very spontaneously, while the ability to build up texture and layers attract me to the use of oil paint. I would like for you to look at this again. First of all, I would take out the word very, try to take out any unnecessary words. We don't need very spontaneously there. And then I wanted you to talk about more about how the layers are built up, because I couldn't really, I assume it's water media to oil, but I might be assuming wrong. Then I want you to bring it back to the farm. And this might be where that connection deepens, because maybe there's something about the layering of the land that relates to the layering of all the different media that you choose to use. I think it's very interesting. The work is wonderful. So I hope you're able to dig a little bit deeper with that. All right, this is Jeff. Jeff says, when I first glimpsed the alabaster sculptures of my mentor at an art fair in Michigan, I had a sudden insight that stone carving would play a central role in the second half of my life. On and on and on. Okay, so what I did is I took out any unnecessary references. I believe that when you refer to another person, you can refer to influences or sculpture or a particular form that you came across without mentioning someone by name or a location. The minute you say Michigan, people who aren't in Michigan might say, well, that doesn't have anything to do with me. So I would take all that out. I love my ambition as a 12-year-old. I love that. You'll see how much in just a minute. And the shape stone to my designs. I think you mean carved stones, and you'll see how I interpreted that in just a minute. Another inspiration, your studio mate took that out as well. That's a credit in your bio, but not here. So I was left with this. My ambition as a 12-year-old of becoming a geologist, I really like that because you are a stone carver. So I like mentioning that. Normally it wouldn't matter for a lot of people. Was instantly married with a stack of sketchbooks holding many years of drawings. Now, if you remember, we came before actually, is it right here? Yeah. No, that's the same. Holding many years of drawings. With guidance, I learned to shape stone to my designs, which reflect a lifetime spent contemplating art, nature, and spirituality. I believe my work is also infused with an empathy gained from many years of teaching in inner city schools. Now, I came across a few other problematic phrases. That is, I experience in this life is redundant and an unnecessarily jumble of words. I experience is enough. And the world of form, I'm not sure what that means. I love that each piece has a story, so I really wanted to highlight that. I love the word intimacy. You see that I highlighted and hopefully. And the reason I highlighted and hopefully is because it doesn't show a certainty. It doesn't show confidence. It's like, hopefully this works out. So I like to remove phrases like that. You'll see that I do that in a couple other statements, or at least one other statement that I have coming up. So we're left with this. My 12-year-old self wanted to be a geologist, and ambition reignited later in life and instantly married with a stack of sketchbooks filled with a lifetime contemplating art, nature, and spirituality. I learned to carve stone from my two-dimensional designs. Though abstract, and I've added some words because I looked up his work. Though abstract, each piece has a story from a particular event or insight. The many hours spent distilling a final shape create an intimacy between the original inspiration and the beauty of a unique slice of earth. So I kind of wanted to, first of all, I wanted to know if you still work from drawings, Jeff. And then I want to know more about the role of spirituality in your work, because I happen to know you. You were at Breakthrough one year, and I want to know, and I happen to know that's important to you. And then if there's any connection with that, between that and the stone that you choose? Because that's really interesting to me. So I hope that was helpful to you as well, Jeff. Let me get through one more and then we'll take a little break. This is Silky. She says, my life has been dedicated to celebrating all that is lyrical, graceful, and vibrant. I'm not going to go into this because I really marked up her, well, I took out a few things. I took out growing up in Texas. Again, you can use that if you're in Texas, but if you're not in Texas, I may not relate. If I'm not in Texas, I may not relate to it. And then I paint whatever calls to me. That to me, I mean, that's kind of an obvious thing that artists do, that they paint what calls to them. And that to me just says, I'll just paint whatever. And so I would try to avoid that and have some more certainty in it. So oops, let me pull this down. So I found all these, Silky, you had all these juicy, juicy words in there: lyrical, graceful, and vibrant, dance, vibrations, alive, energetically, liveliness, blah, blah, blah. You also had, I think, some phrases that I wanted to take out, and redundancy. So I must feel an emotional connection. It's kind of understood. So I didn't think that was very powerful. My painting is a dance, it's a dialogue. I wanted it to be either or, and use dialogue twice. So you kind of repeated in this last sentence as well. So I really want to focus on this bottom part right here. I think that's where the juice is, but I kind of mixed it with all the rest of it and came up with, my art embraces the beauty and rhythm of life. I'm inspired by the vibrations of color and light and how that translates into capturing the spirit of my subject. My process is a dance with the painting. Layers and colors are added repeatedly on top of one another as the composition develops organically. Fluid gestural marks emphasize the subject's liveliness. Not sure if that last phrase, that last sentence really works there. It's just kind of hanging out there by itself, so you can explore that a little more or take it out completely. But there might be some juice in here in the, my process is a dance with the painting. There might be a way to take that metaphor a little further about, you know, the steps of a dance, the rhythm of a dance could be added to this, although you have rhythm in the first sentence as well. But you may be able to stretch out the dance metaphor. That's going to require you to explore the language a lot more that you ip Okay, so I'm going to take a quick sip of water. Glad you're all here. Mesa, are there questions I need to answer? Okay. If you have questions, you can type them into the post and we will see. You are here for your artist statement makeover. I am Allison Stanfield with Art Biz Coach. Been helping artists with their statements since I worked in the art museum another lifetime. and I have really strong feelings about coming up with streamlined, punchy words and phrases for your statement, not forced, but taking all the extra stuff out. You know, Henri Matisse said, all that is not useful in a painting is detrimental. And I believe that about artist statements as well. All that's not useful is detrimental. We want to get to the punch, to help people connect with it immediately. And we have too many words, too many flowery words, too many adjectives, too much repetition. It just gets in the way. So we're making over artist statements. It's a preview for my upcoming class. It's called Magnetic You. You can go right now to magneticuartist.com. In this class, I'm so proud of this class. It's helped so many people. We give you the time and the space to work on your artist statement, your bio, your stories. We start off with stories and just a vocabulary. We do this exercise called 100 Juicy Words. And then we also work on your brand. because it all relates. It's this package that makes you more magnetic when you know what your art's about, when you know what you're about, when you know what your vision is. So magneticuartist.com. We start on April 12th. Now, I have a few more artist statements if you're ready for them. And let me go over here. Okay, Carol says, Carol, I just have a really quick, this is a quickie. After spending years as a professional cabinet and furniture painter, I made the transition to mixed media and photo-based digital art. I draw on my extensive experience with faux finishes and direct it to canvas, creating scenes pulled through the gauzy veil of times past. My artwork layers images, textures, and color in unexpected ways to evoke feelings and memories. So I love normally I don't bring up a different life, but your years as a professional cabinet and furniture painter make sense to include here. I love this gauzy veil of time past. I love that. So I just kind of tweaked it a little bit. My paintings draw on extensive experience with the faux finishes I perfected as a former cabinet and furniture painter. That way we're starting with your paintings and then I just happened to mention the former life. Complex layers of found, I don't know if they're all, some of them look like found images, but I don't know if they are. If they're images that you make, you might want to say drawings, but I think there might be, some of them are found images. Textures and color evoke feelings and memories, scenes pulled through the gauzy veil of time past. Yeah, I want you to use this and maybe dig deeper into the feelings and memories you're trying to evoke, because there's a real aesthetic that you have with the work, and you can really see the layers, and I can see your former life as a cabinet and furniture painter and all the layers. And there's this well-worn surface thing that's going on with your paintings that you probably encountered with the other work as well. I don't know if you're working on old cabinets or new cabinets or furniture, but it certainly feels old, used, well-worn, handmade in your artwork. So I'd love for you to dig deeper and explore that a little more. Okay, Judy says, my work represents people and places that mean something to me. Caught in the moment of everyday life, I see a glimpse of something intimate that might otherwise go unnoticed. So I took out this last paragraph because it seemed really wishy-washy to me. I paint in both oils and watercolor. My subject matter is wide-ranging. I love to do figurative painting. I paint dogs, horses, and occasional cat. So there's a lot of everything just kind of thrown in here. Like, I like everything. And to me, it's obvious that your subject matter isn't the most important thing because you're interested in those meaningful moments. So I went back to that first paragraph. I wanted to play with that a little bit. My work represents people and places that mean something to me. Caught in a moment of everyday life, I see a glimpse of something intimate that might otherwise go unnoticed. I pulled out in red are, if you're just joining me, the red is phrases that I deem to be problematic, mean something to me. Yeah, okay, that's fine. It doesn't really say anything because, again, artists always work with subjects that mean something to them. So I'm not sure about that. But these two phrases, I want to and in some fashion, are wishy-washy. So I want to focus on. You either focus on or you don't focus on. So I focus on, and then in some fashion express, right? So you don't need those. They show, again, like in the statement I mentioned previously, they just reveal some kind of tentativeness, like you're not really exactly sure that they're doing that. So let's take those out. And then and then just say, I focus on the moment, elevate it, and express. Boom. So then I got to thinking, well, still back to that meaningful thing that that I didn't really like. And then this phrase, caught in a moment of everyday life. You didn't have a comma here, so I'll take that out. Caught in a moment of everyday life, I see a glimpse of something. So I don't know if you are caught in a moment of everyday life, or if you're catching a glimpse of everyday life. So to me, that was a little unclear. And you didn't have the comma that would make it a dependent clause or whatever that grammatical phrase is. So I just kind of tweaked it how I thought it might be. My subjects are people and places which I catch in a meaningful moment that might otherwise go unnoticed. It's a glimpse of an intimate encounter, something mysterious. I focus on the moment, elevate it, and express what it is about that passing second that inspires me. And to me, that's where the juice is. And you could even use that and apply it to any specific artwork, any one of those subject matters, if you wanted to. Victor is my friend from Kyrgyzstan. And Victor, I love you. And I'm so glad that you submitted this. Victor has to use a translation service. And Victor, your translation service is getting really good. It's getting a lot better. And so what I'm doing for Victor is different from what I'm doing for other people. I'm really trying to help him tweak the English part of it to make a little more sense. Although I did add, I did some of the same things, but I love this vision of a big city with giant factories, an industrial landscape that you're trying to escape and create your own kind of nature and wildlife around it. And your work is just so wonderful. So I tweaked it this way. I grew up in a huge city crowded with giant factories. The industrial landscape supplanted the natural environment, and over time led me to recreate the natural environment I missed. I'm particularly attracted to flocks of birds and herds of horses. I feel this rhythm of life, its pulse. I love that, Victor, because we all know that. We all know flocks of birds. And even if we haven't seen herds of horses in person, we've seen them in the movies, and we know the sound and the thunder and the rhythm. So I really like that. The work is a dialogue. Victor is a sculptor. The work is a dialogue between material and an idea. Metal is a living and spiritual partner. Really liked reading that, Victor. It participates in the work. Love that. These are two phrases that I think didn't translate well, that might just need a little work. Introduces the corrective amendments. I'm not sure what that means. And is the co-author. Might be co-artist, might be even better there. So we might want to do this. It is the co-artist. And let's spell it right, though. And this last thing, I think, might be another translation issue. My works, this is Ashes of My Visions. I'm not sure what that means. So that just didn't translate well into English. May just want to rework that. All right, so we have just one more. To get to. It's a good one too. They're all good. One more to get to, but I do want to take a moment to welcome people that have just joined us. I'm Allison Stanfield with Art Biz Coach. You're getting a little preview of what we have coming up in my class, Magnetic You, which you can find at magneticuartist.com. It's all about coming up with the language to write, to speak, to share your art at a really high level, so that you know what the heck you're out there promoting and talking about, sharing with people. It's one thing to create in your studio, to keep it in your head. It's another thing to verbalize it, to write it down, and to share it with other people. So Magnetic You Artist is about we work on your statement, your bio, your about page, your branding. your stories, so that you're just full of all these words that you can use, that you can repurpose and slice and dice in all different ways and use them for your marketing. That's magneticuartist.com. It starts on April 12th. Mesa, do we have any questions that I need to answer? There is a good question. This is recorded. The cool thing about Facebook Live, it records it automatically and saves it. So it will be in the same spot. It's the same link, right, Mesa? Yeah. It will be in the same link, the same spot. So you can go back over and dissect what I did here, because I had to go through them kind of fast. So absolutely. We'll also send you, if you signed up to receive reminders, you will get a link to the replay also when it's ready. Anything else? Yeah, I know. So I get it. So some people have said they want to look at the artwork. I understand that. Unfortunately, I didn't have permission to use last names or to share or to out the artists on this. So I really get it. But here's the thing. The fact that you want to look at it means that the right words were used, right? So that's the whole point of the artist statement. I said this at the beginning of the recording or of the session, is the ultimate test is that we want people to look at the work. So if we use the right words, we can get people to go look at the work. For those of you whose statement I used, you can out yourself in the comments and leave the link to your website if you'd like to share that with people. Okay, just a quick reminder before I get to the last statement. Here's what we're trying to do with your artist statement. We're deleting unnecessary words. We're finding better ways to say something. We're taking out the repetition, the flowery words. We're making sure it's your statement that is about the artwork and not your bio, which is about you. And we're providing ultimately the clues for looking that I just mentioned. Anything else? Should I pull him up? Do you want to? Absolutely, it's okay to use exact locations if that is your subject matter, because if your subject matter is a specific location, that is where your audience is going to be also probably. So absolutely you can do that. Also, please keep this in mind. You don't have to have just one statement. In fact, if you have like 2-3 different locations, you could have 2-3 different artist statements, one for each of those locations. In fact, I think you should have a statement for every body of work. It just makes the words are just more powerful when you describe something very particular, rather than try to use words that cover a broad spectrum of your artwork. So I encourage you to go with multiple statements for multiple bodies of work. No quotes. Do never use someone else's quote in your statement. It's your statement. The minute you quote another artist in your statement, I'm going to start thinking about the other artist. You want to keep the focus on you. So anytime you mention another artist or any quote whatsoever, come up with your own words. It's your art. Come to Magnetic You. Join us. We'll help you come up with words. For 7 weeks, we'll help you come up with words. That's it? We're good? Okay. Last statement that I have here. So feel free to ask any questions. We'll try to get to them. It's easier for Mesa to feed me questions than it is for me to try to find them. But I'll answer all of them that I can. And let me get to the last statement. All right, this is Jay's statement. Jay, you had a beautiful use of language, and And I'm going to start with the highlights actually, because the work is obviously about the ocean and the waves, and you had great language like ephemeral, dynamic, and ancient, and endlessness, powerful yet fragile, immersed in its presence. There are a few troubling phrases that I found: increasing fascination for me and deeply compelling. The increasing fascination for me, again, this happened in a number of statements. When I'm reading a statement, I mean, I honestly don't care if it's fascinating for you. I want it to be fascinating for me. So I'd rather you use language that makes it fascinating for me than to point that out. So I'm just trying to avoid that. And deeply compelling, offend the mystery, deeply compelling, that's another kind of feeling thing on your part. So I'm going to try to take that out. Giving the work a decidedly contemporary immediacy. I just didn't like the word decidedly, because it's you that decided, and I didn't think it was necessary. So here's what I came up with. My focus is the constantly shifting pattern of color and light of the ocean, ephemeral in every moment. And we can all relate to that. We know exactly what you're talking about. Water embodies the concept of endlessness, of complexities repeated from one drop to the vast ancient sea. I love the word ancient. I just put it in a different spot and did want to make sure that was there. So powerful, yet so very fragile. The intent of my painting is to immerse you, the viewer, in this presence. I'm interested in conveying how the ocean resonates rather than a literal depiction, giving the work a contemporary immediacy and relevance. And then just a few questions. I don't know about this, immerse you in this, immerse the viewer in this presence, immerse you in this presence, immerse you, the viewer. I'm not sure about that. The immersive experience might be a better way to put this, then we don't have to say you or the viewer. And I'm just gonna let you play with that a little bit. And then giving the work, I'm interested in conveying how the ocean resonates, giving the work a contemporary immediacy and relevance. So why is that a contemporary immediacy? I'm not clear on what that is. Does it mean that it's relevant to today, relevant to our lives, relevant to right this moment, and relevance, contemporary relevance? So I don't know what that means. So someone else might not know what that means. So I'd like for you to explore that a little more. And but it's really good. Your paintings looked exactly like how you described them. So I loved seeing that. Just a quick thank you to everyone that joined us live and everyone that submitted your statement. I hope that you picked up some tips for your artist statement, even if I didn't use your statement. Remember that this is a preview for my upcoming class, Magnetic You, which you can find at magneticuartist.com. We'll put that along with this replay. We're going to help you find, over 7 weeks, we give you exercise after exercise. I give you the right questions. All you have to do is answer the questions and help you come up with language that you can use over and over again, not only for your statement, for your bio, for your about page, but for sharing on social media, for talking in public, for having intimate conversations, for writing grants. You just have to have words these days if you want to attain a certain level of success. So check that out. It's magneticuartist.com. We have a quick start call on April 12th. And there's a bonus. I forgot the bonus. It's the easiest template ever. I actually call it that, the easiest template ever for coming up with your 10-second introduction. And if you sign up by this Friday, that's April 6th at midnight, you get the bonus as well. Anything else? One question. Do we have more questions? Okay. On your website, your statement or statements in my opinion, they go with the art because they are about the art. And I'm going to look at the art when I'm reading the statements. Some people put their artist statement on a different page. That's fine too, but there should be art on that page too. So they should be next to the art that they're describing. An artist statement is a statement. It's in first person. Third person is about the artist or about the artwork. So the cool thing about an artist statement is when you have a really good one, when you have those words, you can switch back and forth between the two. So if someone asks for your statement in third person, you can easily change it to third person. You can say, instead, I'm looking at Jay's statement still, my focus is the constantly shifting pattern of color and light of the ocean. So it could say, Jay, last name, Jay's focus is the constantly shifting. So you can easily change it back and forth, but in general, it's first person. That's it. That's it. All right. So Magnetic You Artist, magneticyouartist.com, 7 weeks, loads. You're just going to come up with pages and pages of words that you can repurpose. I hope that you'll join us. I teach this class just once a year. You get lots of help from others in the group and me. I'm active in the Facebook group, and all of our classes are live like this so that I can answer your questions right away. So I hope to see you there. That's magneticyouartist.com. Thanks so much for joining me, and get to work on that statement. Bye-bye.